In today's Leeds news, more changes behind the scenes, Davis promoted to head of recruitment, Gnonto relishing responsibility, weekend Leeds results, Leeds keen on Brown, and Firpo Future still in the dark. Morning folks, Jay here at The View, Monday morning the 11th of November with your Leeds United news. Hope you're all having a fantastic day so far. Your weekend's gone well. We got 3 points, we got past it. Not a great performance, but doesn't matter at this point. Right now, just getting 3 points and just calming all the stress before the international break and seeing how we come out of that. You can check yesterday's review if you want it on the channel as well. It'll be linked down below at the end of the video if you want to get my take on what's happened and where we are and what is likely to happen coming out of the window. But we've got a bit of news to get stuck into this morning. There's quite a bit, hence why I'm doing a news video on a Monday morning now. And we'll start with changes behind the scenes at Leeds United because there's quite a lot happening behind the scenes and it's worth keeping an eye on. Last week, Nancy Froston at The Athletic dropped an exclusive that stated that Greta Steinson was leaving his technical director role at Leeds United to move into a global technical head director role with the 49ers Enterprises. So not gone away too far, but out of his technical director role for Leeds. We were told that they weren't directly going to replace Steinson in this role, but that moves were going on behind the scenes of a bit of a restructure. That restructure now appears to be a little bit more extensive than it initially looked. Over the weekend, Team Talk have now had their own exclusive on Leeds behind the scenes, and it's more change in the recruitment team. Leeds head of recruitment Jordan Miles is set to leave Leeds United before the January transfer window, and Miles will follow Greta Steinson in leaving his role in what appears to be a restructure behind the scenes, and both of them moving on after only recently coming into the club by footballing terms. Football advisor and consultant Nick Hammond, as well as Leeds football operations manager Adam Underwood, are expected to take on more responsibilities as part of their role. And Hammond has been working on short-term deals while he's been at Leeds, and maybe this means that Hammond might be sticking around for a more longer-term future at the club. He's been very involved in 3 transfer windows for Leeds, and all 3 of them have been decent windows for the club. Miles is a strange one for me. As I say, he only joined the club back in February and is now going to be gone before January, not even completing a year at the club. And it's something similar happened when he went to Aberdeen from West Ham. He didn't spend a huge amount of time there either before he moved on. There isn't any news around what is next for Jordan Miles, where he's heading, what role he's moving into, but a replacement for the role is coming, and is coming very, very quick for Leeds United, and that's our next story. According to the training ground guru, Leeds are set to promote Alex Davis to the head of recruitment role, replacing Jordan Miles. Leeds recruitment team, as I said, is undergoing a bit of a rejig behind the scenes ahead of January, and Davis is a long-standing and highly respected member of staff at Leeds United for a considerable amount of time. Davis joined Leeds United 13 years ago in a football analyst role before then becoming the head of the analyst department, and when Victor Orta moved him into the scouting team and the recruitment operations manager in February, he worked alongside Jordan Miles quite closely, so crossing over paths there should be pretty easy for one going out and one coming back in. There's no other changes being announced yet, but Leeds do appear to be having a good, strong look at the recruitment team and making some significant changes, although at a strange time of the year. Moving into January, it looks like Leeds are lining up a new team for that transfer window, but I don't expect Leeds to do a huge amount of anything in January, which has become the norm for Leeds over the last couple of years under the previous and the current ownership teams. But Leeds could probably do with adding a striker in January, and they probably could do with adding another centre-back just to be safe. I'm sure we'll hear Max Firpo rumours start to pick up in the next couple of weeks as well, and whether he's deciding to stay at Leeds or not, that won't stop the rumours. But yeah, it's an interesting one at this moment in time. We'll have to see how that one plays out. But yeah, good that Alex Davis is moving into the role, and somebody from within the club who's been promoted several times from within Leeds United's backroom staff is now moving into a senior role within the club, and that's great to see. And moving on to the next story, this one relates to Willo Gnonto. Increased responsibility at the club this season. It's been a decent start to the season for Willo Gnonto, although some moments have been a little bit frustrating, but you expect that with some younger players. But he's carrying an increased amount of pressure this season on the back of Chris Somerville and Jorginho going. A lot more pressure is on his shoulders to deliver assists and goals for the club. And Gnonto himself has admitted that the increased responsibility of goals and assists has been a bit of a learning curve, as well as a slight positional change that he's had to deal with this season. But he is determined to become a key figure in Daniel Farke's side heading in to the remainder of this season. Speaking to BBC Radio Leeds on the situation, Willo Gnonto said the following. It's a compliment, but at the same time, it's tough. I'm in a position where I would like to take on players 1v1, but it's not always been possible. At the same time, I know that if they do double up on me, it's easier for someone else to have some space. So I just try to use it as much as I can. I have to improve as well. But at the same time, it's a new position for me, and I'm sure I'm going to get better. Young players, inconsistencies, and performance issues are something, unfortunately, people will just have to deal with as they get older, as they learn the game. And Willo Gnonto, at 21 years of age, is very much a very young player, despite the fact he has a huge amount of football behind him at the moment. And the inconsistencies will likely continue. You hope that over time they just get less and less and less and less. But good that he's identifying performance improvements. Good that he's identifying inconsistencies in his game. That shows self-awareness, which is a huge part that can help a player to develop over time. So, yeah, so far so good for Willie. Could he done more? Yeah. Is he doing okay? He's doing fine. He's doing fine. You just want to see a little bit more from him because he's such an important player. When he is on fire, he's very, very good. Before we get to the last two main stories of the day, we'll have the quick weekend results wrap-up of everything going on at Leeds United. Leeds under-18s had a 1-1 draw away to Wolves. The goal in that game coming by way of an OG from Wolverhampton Wanderers themselves. Leeds under-21s beat Gateshead 2-1 away from home. Reece Chadwick and Connor Douglas with the goals in that game. Chadwick now has 4 goals and 6 assists in 12 games, which is excellent stuff. 10 goal involvements in 12 games for the player is brilliant. Leeds women's team beat Chorley Town 3-2 away from home. 2 goals from Jibril Keating and 1 from Drew Green move Leeds into second place in the Women's Northern Premier Division. We're getting into December. We're not far away from it now. We're only 4 weeks away from December, so we're likely to start hearing some transfer rumours kicking in. And one that's come out over the course of the weekend is one that we've kind of heard last season, but is starting to pop its head back up again. And this one relates to interest that Leeds may have had last season in Ghent fullback Archie Brown. According to the Boot Room Football, they claim that Leeds are still keen on signing the left back. And the online reports state that the interest is growing from Premier League sides as well. Tottenham, Chelsea and West Ham are said to be keeping an eye on the player. A player that Leeds are said to have been monitoring since last season. This, however, does appear on paper to be a summer signing for the club because Leeds have Firpo and Schmidt in those roles and Sam Byram at the moment. And Archie Brown is seen as a Premier League type fullback with the Premier League clubs interested in him. It looks like Leeds would bring him in should they go to the Premier League and should Junior Firpo not continue on with Leeds next season. Junior Firpo's future at the club is still very much up in the air, and Leeds will want to have another left back if they do get to the Premier League next season. Brown is a very highly rated player and will be considered a good signing for Leeds. Whether he can make the step up to a Premier League team from where he's playing at Ghent at the moment remains to be seen. But with Junior Firpo's future up in the air, Leeds will need to have other things lined up and ready should Firpo decide to move on. And let's talk about Junior Firpo and let's talk about his future at the club, because there's been some news and he's been talking about it himself, and he might be in Daniel Farke's bad books right now for a second suspension of the season after a headbutt against Millwall, but his long-term future is very much not clear right now. Junior Firpo is in the final year of his current deal with Leeds United and can negotiate a pre-contract agreement to move away from the club starting in January for any club outside of the UK. Firpo has in general been really good for Leeds over the last 18 months, but he's now on his second suspension inside 14 games on the back of what happened at Millwall and picking up 5 yellow cards before that. But speaking in the Inside Ellen Road podcast newsletter about his contract situation at the club, Firpo said the following: "Football is like that. One day you're here, another day you're there. But this is the topic that I've been discussing with myself since we got relegated. Obviously, I could have done the same as others. I could have gone away. I have my options, and I think everyone knows. It's not a thing that I can hide. I had my options and I could go away. But as you say, my family are settled here. We are doing really good at the moment, but we don't know what the future will say for me." Firpo went on to point out that there have been no talks around an extension to his current deal at the club, and no meetings that would even suggest that it's on the cards. There was a story that came out a couple of months ago that suggested that Leeds would not be offering Junior Firpo a new contract. But given how well he's done at the moment, does this short extension make sense for the player who's very, very much settled in Leeds? It would be a fitting send-off for him, though, if he was to help Leeds to get to the Premier League next season and then head off into the sunset with his redemption arc fully completed at the club. It remains to be seen if that happens. He's been very good. If you could lock him down for another year, does he deserve a second crack at the Premier League? Leeds were a basket case in the Premier League when he came in. Does he deserve another crack at that when a more settled team and structure is in place? Let me know in the comments and let me know what you think about Junior Firpo and his future at Leeds United. But I think a lot of people would agree maybe an extension, or at least a discussion of an extension, should be had. If not, He can negotiate a pre-contract agreement in January, and as he said, people know what his options are, which would suggest that's Real Betis that are still very much on the horizon for him. A return to the club that he started his career with could be on the cards, and we'll see how that pans out over the next 6 to 8 weeks. Folks, that'll be it for me today. Massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. You can check out yesterday's match review down below, and you can join me later on tonight in a review for the game with the panel as well. We'll discuss that game later on. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. See you. Bye.